For the record, though, I think this is a bad practice. Like, imagine if you were like, hey, you're not allowed to be here because of what you said on Twitter. It's not really a good reason. I think the reason is that, like, they're worried that she's going to make a scene so that she can create content for her Instagram and Twitter, right? To me, that is like the real reason.
Create this content, you guys create it. No, wait, hold on. We have to stay on this version.
Sorry, I'm eating. But she just gave the game away there.
No, wait, hold on. We have to stay on this version.
What you put on Twitter is pretty obvious.
But I don't create this content, you guys create it.
She says, I don't create this content. You guys create it for me. It's a wonderful day in the homiehood. A wonderful day for a homie. Won't you be my homie to Taro? Yeah, let's take a look. You got this is the Caryma video, I guess. This is not a drag event, not a protest, not a demonstration. This woman is doing her job and she is being ignored. This behavior is the same as witnessed at drag events a number of times before. It's not the drag defenders causing problems. So yeah, I have seen this video. This is Caryma going to the I don't know, Pierre Polyev rally or something, and they're choosing to like kick her out. I think this guy has kicked her out of the Doug Ford place as well. I don't know. He's just like a conservative security dude or something. But this poor woman who even knows? This woman could just work for the building. I don't know if she's like a known conservative or anything. But she tries to set boundaries with the Caryma's cameraman, and it just gets completely ignored. It's kind of weird.
Well, I don't understand why we're videotaping everything.
Well, I'm here to document the rally, and so this is the reception I received at the rally.
Okay, I'm not comfortable with you videotaping me anymore, so if you can...
Let me turn it up, sorry.
Received at the rally.
Okay, I'm not comfortable with you videotaping me anymore, so if you can stop, please. She's not doing it. I'm going to ask you to leave, or I'll call security.
Am I... Zach, we're having an issue here with me.
I love how she's on a first name basis with this guy. Like, how many events she must get kicked out of to be like, hi, Zach.
Well, this is why, if they don't want you here, that's them. So that's
Okay.
So wait, what does he say there?
that's them. So that's, well, this is why.
This is live? I don't know. She's not legally allowed to film inside buildings. If something she'd know if she were an actual journalist. Oh, inappropriate innuendo. This is Caryma Sad, who we've had like a drama arc with on our channel. She's Canadian provocateur, I guess you could say, and in our opinion, she's a grifter, someone who's more aligned with the far right than defenders of drag or us here on the left.
If they don't want you here, that's them. So that's
Okay.
Can't you vouch for us, Zach?
I'm sorry. But the cameraman, whatever his name is, can you vouch for us, Zach? And then he sounds like a desperate child trying to get into like the backstage of like a cool event. And then the guy's just like, no, I can't vouch for you.
All right, well...
It's not even silence. He literally just says like, no, I can't. It's really hard to hear, but he's like, no, I cannot vouch for you.
All right, well...
That's really disappointing. We drove from Toronto to...
That's really disappointing. We drove from Toronto and we like lobbied our Twitter followers to like donate for gas money.
I've already asked you politely to stop videotaping me.
And this woman here, I've already asked you politely to stop videotaping me. And he doesn't stop. And then that's like their whole thing. You know, like they'll do that with everyone. The funny thing is, I saw them. I saw fucking Jay and Silent Bob over here at Drag Story Time on the weekend, and Caryma didn't recognize me. So actually they came up to me and she was so nice to me. She even said, like, you know, if you're not comfortable being filmed, like, we can stop. And then the cameraman was just like up in my face with the camera, and he's like, it's Danny Taro. And then she kind of had this moment of realization, like, oh, it is. And then I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, I didn't recognize you because of the beard. And then I went like right up to the camera, and I was doing all these like poses and being like, yeah, my beard came back because like I've recovered from cancer. And so that like that's why she didn't recognize me. So I was just like hamming it up for the camera, giving them basically nothing that they could work with, because it's like, yeah, it's me, Danny Taro, who you hate, and you know, I'm recovering from cancer. Like, there's no way you could use footage like that to like smear me or whatever, you know. So it's actually so funny. We need better privacy laws when it comes to this poop. Yeah, for sure. She talked to Sebi Base. Yeah. I know we did go over that a little bit. And then of course, like, Tanya was all in the Twitter beef with Sebastian. So stupid. Oh damn, your barber is chemo. True. Same. That's why we don't see anything from you on her report. Yeah, exactly. I don't think she never wants to come at me, bro. Even though I'm like, come at me, bro. And then they never do. They go after everyone else. So yeah, there's another video. Is it on Dina's thread? We should just watch it though. Honestly, like, it's fucking funny. I just love that like everybody hates Caryma. Except, I don't know. Well, obviously she has her stance. Oh, you just put it in chat? True, I missed it. Oh, the first half. Okay, thanks, Antifer. this guy is just like, not this woman again. Yeah, I know. That's my own quote. The my barber is chemo. I know.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You know the drill.
No, this isn't what's on court about. This is your court.
Exactly.
Is it just conservatives have a blanket ban on you? Or?
Well, you're pretty obvious on your Twitter what we.
I'm even wearing my colors.
I see that, but we're gonna have to ask you to leave again. Move out to the hallway. You can watch through the windows there if you like. But.
Okay, who are these guys though? I'm just genuinely curious. Who are these guys and why are they standing like this?
This is all private in here. It's a private event. Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch the end of the trial for the trespass ticket?
I missed it.
It was dismissed.
I got some.
So I'm not welcome at any conservative events, it seems. I tried dressing for the part, but alas, watch out for this.
It's almost like you're not a journalist and you have no reason to be there.
Thank you for being cooperative.
Hey, what's up, Igloo?
I'm just confused as to why politicians hate me. I've never said a single disrespectful word to this guy.
Oh, we see what you do. You put on Twitter. It's pretty obvious.
For the record, though, I think this is a bad practice. Like, imagine if you were like, hey, you're not allowed to be here because of what you said on Twitter. It's not really a good reason. I think the reason is that, like, they're worried that she's going to make a scene so that she can create content for her Instagram and Twitter, right? To me, that is like the real reason.
Create this content. You guys create it for. No, wait, hold on. You have to stay on this version. The hallway?
Sorry, I'm eating. But she just gave the game away there.
No, wait, hold on. You have to stay on this version.
What you do. You put on Twitter. It's pretty obvious.
But I don't create this content. You guys create it for.
She says, I don't create this content. You guys create it for me. Okay. I guess. Is that how it works? She's such a LARPer the way she dresses. I know, as if she's like, but I wore a blue shirt. I wore a blue shirt. I'm allowed to be here. I dress for the part. It's ridiculous. Like the way she say the same things she dresses up in Peterborough. She wears a Peterborough Pete's jersey and she tries to blend in with the locals. It's just like, it's pathetic. Caryma, you can't be a journalist if you center yourself as a story. Yeah, that's like journalism 101. It's kind of like lawyer 101 too, though. So like she should know this. That might be what he means when he says, we see what you put on Twitter. You cause scenes and disturb events. Yeah, true. Right? I just think for the average person, like the average Caryma stan who hears something like that, they're like, they get all riled up and they're like, but why not? It is like they're censoring her, you know? It's part of what is called the Nazbol vortex. It's basically a way for people on the left to get sucked into this in a way that pushes them to the right. Because if you think about all the conclusions that you draw from this, you end up just saying like right-wing talking points, like freedom and like they're censoring us and like freedom of speech, you know? And it's just like, well, yeah, like there's journalists in there who aren't being kicked out because they don't provoke scenes in order to create content.
No, wait, hold on. We have to stay on this part of the hallway? Like just behind the yellow line there?
The doors down.
Through like outside?
Well, just out here. You gotta leave this here.
Yeah, okay, it's the yellow line.
Sure.
Thank
You as well, sir. Thank you.
I only booked my ticket yesterday, so I'm surprised you guys.
Through the line, please. Thank you.
But how am I gonna hear?
How am I gonna hear? I don't know. How do you think, Caryma? I feel like it's one of those things where like she needs to say something for the camera, you know? So like, but she's not always I wish she would just embrace the entertainment aspect of it, you know? Like just go all out, Caryma. Just like, this is purely for entertainment, you know? Just embrace it. Stop pretending like you're doing something good with this. All right. Oh, Scoots, so predictable. It's from Mommy Dearest, who I probably should follow at this point. When we debated Caryma, I got so many new followers that I couldn't keep up. So I'm slowly like figuring out who to follow and whatnot. So, Caryma said, "Gentleman on the right is Curtis McBride, one of the men who present. While I got kicked out of Pierre Poilievre's event, was a local millionaire, Curtis McBride, CEO of Mio Vision. Recognize anyone else in the video? My DMs are open." Okay, so the reason that their Mommy Dearest here is saying so predictable is because she doxes people. Like she films people, whether they're on the right or the left, whether they're a millionaire or a unhoused person, she will film them, and usually like against their consent. In the case of that one woman, you see that she's like, hey, please don't film me. They just keep filming. And then afterwards they dox you and they tell like everyone who is now riled up by their videos who they are. So I think it can be really confusing for people watching this, right? Because they'd be like, why are people like Ocean Cowboy and Rainbow Karen and Mommy Dearest, who are leftists, why are they coming out in defense of like a millionaire? And it's just because, or seemingly like Pierre Poilievre or the conservative, you know, henchman like this guy Zach. Apparently, like why are they coming out against it? It's because we people on the left have also fallen victim to this type of behavior. And the kind of golden rule of like being on the internet is like you don't dox people, you know, like even if it's your enemy, you don't dox them, you know. And like obviously this is not exactly doxing, right? It's not sending them to Curtis McBride's mansion or anything, but we've seen her engage in this behavior before, not just with people like Pierre Poilievre's cronies or conservative cronies, but like a black progressive journalist gets served papers and like their staff is like doing the same thing, like, hey, don't film me. And it's just like it's all part of this same playbook of like how to make content. And it's, in my opinion, like just an unethical way to make content. Seeing the door close on her was so satisfying. Yeah, I know. She's not even a very good IRL streamer either. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's what I'm saying is like, just like, can you just like embrace the entertainment value? Like, can't you just like power bomb someone for once? You know? It also implies culpability on the part of these individual actors. Sure, I might not agree with conservatives and billionaires, but doxing them precludes any attempt at a structural or political economic critique, and if anything further obfuscates the issues at hand. Yeah, exactly. So like, is sure a conservative is a a millionaire and he supports Pierre Poilievre. Am I shocked? Am I appalled? What is the story here? Like, you know, like is there a story here? Or is it just like, hey, this person was mean to me? And, you know, like, well, are they a bad person? What is the story? What is the story? Yeah, the fact that she calls herself a political satirist is just a lukewarm defense. So yeah, because like satire can be such a broad umbrella. Sorry, let me finish my burrito so I can actually talk here. Unfortunately, we have to keep calling out Caryma, I think. Because a lot of people don't get it. Including Joy La Chica, maybe Diane Tyrion, you know, Maclean's Magazine. These are all people who like are elevating her platform, perhaps unknowingly, because they think that she is a leftist or a progressive or someone who is holding the alt right into account. Um, but that's not what's happening. They think she's an underdog, cause yeah, well, cause she's like perpetually the victim on her social media. Honestly, I know like there's been a lot of talk, right, about um whether you should debate. It's great to welcome to the debate or not debate. Um and there's a lot of people out there who are like, don't debate a fascist, right? Um the problem for me, and this is something I've been thinking about a lot, you know, because last week, like I made a video about it, or earlier this week. Um and I kind of am of the opinion like you should talk to everyone, and even if they're a fascist. Um and I think the problem is that there are people like Caryma, right? Who we over here might say Caryma is a fascist. But then what do you do when there's a large group of people who don't understand how she enables fascism? And there are a whole bunch of liberals who will go to bat for her. And there are a whole bunch of people who even consider themselves on the left who think that she's a victim. And then Caryma says, Danny, why don't you just talk to me? And then what if my opinion is to say, no, I don't talk to fascists? Doesn't that make me look like the bad person when there's all these people who are like neutral or on like Team Caryma? And I say, no, I don't talk to fascists. Don't you think that would make us look weaker and Caryma look stronger? when you say that you're unwilling to have a conversation. I'm fully willing to hurl mud at Caryma right now and say, wow, she is a fascist enabler. You know, she does more harm than good. She's not responsible with her journalism. I'm willing to say all those things. And then if Caryma says, well, let's talk about it, and then I say no, don't you think that would be really, really bad? And then not only do I not reach the people who are disillusioned by her, but I also give them more fuel and be like, wow, Danny Taro is saying maybe all of those things in bad faith because he's not even willing to engage with Caryma. I think that is the hard part, is because it's not like when people say, hey, don't debate a fascist. It's very obvious who is a fascist and who's not a fascist. It's not like people walk around with like the word fascism like tattooed to their forehead. You know, it's really, in practice, it's much more complicated than just like, don't debate a fascist. Well, who is a fascist? Right? And we know that like neoliberalism enables fascism. Do you just not debate neoliberals as well? Do you, like, we know that there are people on the left who have authoritarian tendencies. Do you not debate any of those people as well? And then to me, it just seems like once you start putting up these walls, you're just left like all alone or in your echo chamber, and you can no longer be an effective advocate for the ideas that you say are so good. If you think that your ideas are so good, how come you can't basically battle them in the Pokemon championships of ideas, you know? Like what, like I don't think we should be so timid and so scared and to just like give up this ground when there is an opportunity to reach people. I know when I debated Caryma and James, if you can even, it wasn't even debate. It's just a discussion. People reached out to me and said, oh my God, I didn't realize Caryma was a controversial figure like this. Right? Like they never even considered it. They always thought that she was like someone who was holding the alt-right into account. But they also knew me and they said, well, wait, why is Danny debating Caryma? Shouldn't they be on the same side? Right? And so like some people were opened to the potential of that idea. And I think that is why it's important to engage. Angel Ride here saying, I mean, if you want to be a bit of a cynic, those are all mostly institutional figures. Sure, love some of them and published by others, but still, if anything, reinforced the status quo. Sorry, I don't know what we're talking about. Caryma's performative disobedience resonates with the neoliberal idea of protest, as she fundamentally doesn't challenge the status quo. True. The real importance is anti-fascist organizing, as it is to get past this capital S spectacle and actually affect material change. Yeah. Holocaust survivors say that you can't remain neutral, says Anti-Fur Squirrel. You can have a conversation, but you have to find a safe boundary and know when to stop. I see what you mean, but also understand the safety guidelines of not talking to fascists. Yeah. I mean, of course, I think it is important to have a line. And I have seen people who engage in this type of stuff online to just like press like the hang up button on somebody who has crossed that line, you know, and I wouldn't be against that. But I also feel like if you're willing to try to bring attention to someone who is acting in bad faith, then you should be willing to engage with them if they say, hey, let's talk about it. Right? Like I think when someone is like, hey, let's talk about it, and you say no, then that weakens the ideas that you have. We should be willing to engage with our ideas. Our ideas are not going to become more popular by never engaging in debate. So I don't know. I keep coming back to this idea because It's something that I've been kind of like worried about. A lot of people are very strongly opinionated about it. Um, but the more I kind of like think about it, the more that I am on the side of like, hey, we should talk to people. Human rights are not a debate. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I don't know if I would necessarily just like debate someone on the existence of trans people or trans rights, you know, maybe because also it's not my place and I'm not like the most educated person to do that type of debate. But when it comes to like, I don't know, activism and platforming, you know, obviously that's like something that I'm a bit more engaged in and I would be willing to like talk to someone about. I agree though. Both sides saying the like human rights issues is something that I've been super critical of other institutions for doing as well, right? It drives me crazy when someone both sides like they did it in Peterborough. They talked to Betty Baker about drag story time, and then they talked to the pastor who was there to protest the existence of trans folks. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to both sides a human rights issue. And the fact that they did that is really disgusting. Right? However, I guess even if you were to talk to someone who like that pastor, right? Like you would be having a conversation with them where you're pushing back against them at every twist and turn. Um and I don't think very much could necessarily be lost um by engaging with those ideas. If people are susceptible, if people in our audience or like in our community are susceptible to the horrible ideas of fascism, they are probably going to get there anyways, right? They're probably going to get there without me having a conversation with a fascist. Right? And then what do? Take on responsibility for like someone who gets pulled into the alt-right pipeline? I that is like a kind of ridiculous notion when you're actively advocating against those ideas. Like, so how can you say that you're responsible for people who have gone against the ideas that you advocate for simply like being in chat and in your audience? I really don't think the like the community that we have grown so far would be like, I'm curious. That's like I'm curious about, you know, potentially committing genocide against a group of people. It's like, oh, well, I don't think those people are in our audience, and if they are, then they're not in our community. I don't know. It's all interesting food for thought. Like I said, I do want to host like a panel discussion where we can maybe talk about some of these things, like platforming and and proper behavior. I guess that's the thing. I don't want to say there's a proper way to act at a protest because that to me feels like we're like policing people's behavior. Um but there are people who think that you can live stream at a protest. There are people who think you shouldn't live stream at a protest. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it all. I haven't found anyone that has a neutral opinion on the issue. I think it's just whatever you're comfortable with personally. Yeah, that's my opinion. It's like if you're uncomfortable live streaming at an event, then don't live stream. If you're uncomfortable getting physical with fascists, then don't get physical with fascists. If you're uncomfortable debating someone, then don't debate. You know, like, and I think like that's my thing is that like my opinion kind of leaves room for like whatever people want to do. What kind of concerns me is the opinions that are trying to police people's behavior, right? One thing we should probably know by now is that if you show up to a protest and you don't want your identity to be known, you should wear a mask. Like, there's a reason why Antifa traditionally has been a group where they all wear all black and cover their faces, because that's part of their action, right? But the thing is, a lot of people are not Antifa. I guess there is a difference between being Antifa and anti-fascist, you know? And since the anti-fascist movement has in a way become popularized, there's going to be a lot of like confusion and differences of opinion about how that movement should grow. It's going to be really hard to grow a movement, especially when there's no centralized leadership, right? That's why it's really important to engage and not just